So it looked like we were going to have a really, really good season where we were going to run away with the title. Sadly, it didn't last, and we fell down the table. We got into the playoffs, but only into the first round of them. And from there, as I've said before, it's almost impossible, I think, to actually go get promoted. So it will be at least another season until we're there. Let's have a look back at what we've done wrong and what we can do next season to put things right. So here we are with the season review. A couple of players have been inducted into the overall 11. Jacopo Pellegrini, 14 goals, 34. I'm surprised by that because it means that he's there ahead of Sassi, which seems a bit bizarre. He had one season certainly where he was absolutely excellent. So I'm not quite sure why that's happened. I've just noticed that this skin has changed the appearance of the best 11 part, which is odd. It doesn't feel quite right like this. The ability and potential feels weird, but oh well. So yeah, you can see Roller has now appeared there. Hopefully we'll see him coming in at some point to that right hand side, but Nesta is going to be hard to push. I would argue. So the season review, they're calling it a superb season, which I suppose is fair. Let's have a look, see who we've got. Pellegrini, the signing of the season. I have to say I'm surprised by it. We'll see, I suppose. Basically, they think the dealings were okay, but not brilliant. This is an A+. Left alert? Really? I'm seeing an A+. A striker who scored 2 goals. The board have some very strange reactions to these transfers. I don't really understand that. Some of the people coming out, Corinos, a bit disappointing perhaps. Giulato did well for Abelino. In terms of the season results, now obviously the league table isn't there anymore because it's on into the playoffs. We reached the second round of the Series C playoff. We did that. In fact, we reached the third round, didn't we? So that's good. We got a C+ only for that though. Don't know why. And the Lega Pro wasn't important, so the fact that we won 2 rounds of that's kind of irrelevant. In terms of moments to remember, biggest win, that 5-1 win over Catania. Match to remember where we got the late winner against Foggia, despite Roller being sent off. And then the goal of the season was Eramo. I do remember that goal. You can't go back to it now, but I remember it was an absolute screamer. I remember thinking then it would probably be goal of the season. Corporate hospitality's gone up a bit, as has the match day income and commercial and retail. That's good. Broadcast revenue's gone down a bit. Sponsorship revenue pretty much the same. No prize money still. Pellegrini now the overall leader in terms of shirt sales. That's been Nesta all along, I think. In terms of the season 11, Pellegrini is clearly up there. Actually, to be fair, he's had a better season than I realised. Nesta, Celli, and Rodrigo Gut, all of whom have had a decent season. The rest of them leave a bit to be desired, I would say, apart from maybe the keeper. Roller's discipline is a bit of an issue. Kind of knew that, to be honest. We got our biggest ever transfer fee by selling Irvin Omic, and that's looking like a very good decision to me. Most assists by a player in the season by Biondi, even though he wasn't a first choice player. That's very interesting. Maybe he should be. We'll see. Most goals by a player in a season. Most overall goals by a player in the season. Goodness me, we've had a good season by pretty much any standards, haven't we? I suppose we knew that we'd broken records in terms of the most points we've had. We need to start repairing the financial damage. Hoping we might get a takeover at some point. We'll need a tentative team meeting. Now, I want to tell them we're going to win the league. Can I get away with it? Because we've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. Let's try and win the league. Good. Yes, they do want to do that. I'm going to make a few promises. I'd like to just say I'm going to strengthen the whole team. I guess I've done that now, haven't I? I will let people leave if they want to. Worries me that Roller's happy about that because I'm not particularly keen on letting him go. That'll do for promises. Game contacts, don't have any issues. Good, I think that's actually gone really well. Probably the best end of season team meeting I've ever had, which is good. yeah, Roller's reaction worries me a bit. I wonder if we could perhaps even extend his contract now before we start getting people sniffing around. I don't know if we can, actually. Let's go to 2028 at least. No, we can't. 3 years is the most we can give him at the moment because of his age. So, yeah, that's a bit of a concern, certainly. Let's go to the squad building part. Just trying to think who we wouldn't want to keep, who we can get rid of now. We definitely want to keep, or Nesta's already going. Do I want to keep Paolini? Could probably do. He's had a good end to the season, certainly. Let's see if we can renew him. Shelley's staying, Groot's staying, Pellegrini's staying, Vittorini's staying. We might well want to extend some of these contracts, but not urgent that. Gioldi I would like to keep. I enjoy watching Gioldi. Good player. Viano, go. I think there's some resale value there, so I think I'll get him to try and sign and then look at selling him perhaps in a year's time. Biondi, haven't been very impressed with him, even though I know he's a leading assist maker and all that. He's not been that good. I think I'll let him go. Don't want any of these loan players back. They have been, if not a disaster, certainly a disappointment. Certainly Anguilleri, we're paying a lot of money to. Bit of a flop, really. Allievi, I think, need to go. Atilat, he's got another year anyway. Sperotto, I think, at 32, has run his course. And Tarevic is going anyway. So that tells you all you need to know about that squad and where we are. Paolini doesn't necessarily seem all that keen. Oh, yeah, it's easy. I think our the powers that be have been a bit tight. Pogliano, on the other hand, is not going to talk to us, so that's fine. It was one of those where I was unsure I wanted to anyway, to be honest. Had a good end to the season, but he hadn't been brilliant throughout most of it, so I'm not too worried about that. We do have some work to do though in the transfer window, because there are some players here who, well, I want to improve on. Iturini, I kind of feel like I need to either renew his contract or sell him. I'm kind of inclined to renew it. There's one less thing to think about. Yeah. So he only wanted 1,000 more a year, so that was a bit of a no-brainer. And that just means that we have another year without having to worry about that particular position. So Roller has, we know that he's going to have severe problems with his discipline. Something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. But he has actually had a very good second half of the season, has Roller. Been very impressed by that. And it's good to see him doing it. And, that second half of the season was not good as far as the team's concerned, but as far as Roller's concerned, you look through his performances, he's had some very, very good ones. It's not consistent enough, but it's good. If you look through, there are very few poor performances. There's one there, he was very poor in that game, but there's not many. You see a lot of 6.87s, which is just an average, and then the odd really good one here and there, which is great. And he came off the bench here, got 7.7. He gets the odd 6.6 occasionally, 6.4. So he had a little blip in March, but generally, that was after a goal as well. He's scoring either side of that blip as well. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that this guy's going to be a very good player. You can see the progress of his assistant report is improving. You can see he's improving his attributes everywhere. The fact that dribbling is still going up. I tried to train him to run down the flank better, but it didn't work, which is odd because you would think that would be exactly what you should be guessing with someone doing that. So I don't really know why that's happening. Can we not do the new trait because we're doing the weaker foot training? Because frankly, if we're going to get him to just train that that left foot, then what's the point? I might stop that. Still can't do the trait. Right, okay, let me start it again. Doesn't do any harm, does it? Right, apparently we've repaired the club's financial damage. I don't think we have. In fact, I'm absolutely sure we haven't. It's very strange. I don't know whether that's an indication that maybe they're thinking of selling the club, in which case it doesn't really matter. It's obviously what we would like here. Not sure why they think that he might be excellent, because he's clearly not going to be excellent. Right, for the rest of this video, we will be chopping in and out, basically just tracking any progress on transfers. So obviously we will be scouting throughout the summer. I'm going to be looking for as many players as I can to just improve the team, basically. I want every single player to be able to. I want them to be able to bring him in and think, yeah, he is definitely an upgrade on X. So that's going to be my goal throughout the whole of this summer, and you will come back and see it at various points, which I hope you will. And we'll see where that takes us, basically. So see you in a second. So here we go, as we get some people tied down, Gioldi, Vittorini and Paolini. The E's starting to commit their future to us, which is great news. And hopefully the first step on the road to improving this squad. We've still got quite a few players here who are going to be leaving as it stands. And I don't think there's anyone left now who apart from Nesto, who I would love to be able to keep but can't. I don't think there's anyone left who I want to keep. So what I'm going to do is I'll put them all into the under 20 so that we can just see what we have available to us and what we need to fill in. Just get rid of all of them. Right, so that is our current first team squad. It's obviously very, very small. Let's just see if there's anyone in the under 20s or the under 18s who we could think about promoting. Kini, potentially, Stanger is there anyway, and Gioldi is there anyway. So that's fine. And under 18s, I don't think there's anyone really. Colucci, he was the star of this year's youth intake. I do wonder if actually he would be quite useful as backup. He's never going to be a first choice player, but as backup, maybe. I'm not sure if I see the potential that my assistant sees in him, but we'll see. So at the moment, we definitely need centre backs. Rodrigo Goots is there, but we need at least 2 more, I think. Who else do we definitely need? Centre backs, central midfielders. Paolini has to play there, but I don't really feel particularly great about that. And I'd quite like to move Iramo on because I don't think he was a terrible signing, but I don't think he'd be brilliant either. And I think it's the kind of player that we could improve on. Not to mention the fact that he's really old. But yeah, there's clearly work to be done because this squad is not big enough at the moment. So hopefully we will find a few other players to come in. Just trying to think what the first massive thing is. We've got Latilats who can play out on the left wing, so that's not urgent. Stanger can play centre back. So that's currently my first choice team, I think. Pellegrini, yeah, probably Pellegrini for Castelli, but that would be it, I think. I think that's currently the first choice 11, or rather the first choice 16. So we are just looking at where we can improve on that, and I think we need midfielders quite badly. That's something we need to kind of focus on. I think we could really do with a striker. Really do with one. I think it's pretty urgent actually. Because Pellegrini hasn't really been the kind of player I was hoping he would be, and Estrella wasn't ever intended to be an absolute superstar. He's a decent target man, but no more than that. And yeah, Pellegrini hasn't done badly. I'm not suggesting he has. I mean, the average rating's good. But what we need is someone who's going to score 20 goals plus a season consistently, and at the moment we don't have that. We haven't had that, so I think that has to be the main objective this summer is to get that 20 goal a season striker. And I think what I'll do is I will get rid of that and ask Gabriele Parolari to look for a 20 goal a season striker for me, preferably someone who's going to come in straight away and do a great job for us. It could be anyone you like, just get someone. It is urgent. Is there anyone here? Got Luca Moro. Not going to be a 20 goal a season striker, I don't think. But I will be back shortly when we have further developments on that. If we get a couple of players in our scouting reports who look interesting, I will show you them. And hopefully we may be able to secure a couple of their signatures. Back in a second. So we have a couple of transfer deals through already. We've got a new goalkeeper in Alex Posito. He's 23 years old, which for a keeper is obviously very, very young. There are some issues. He's not perfect, but high determination in a relatively young age means I think he could get better. He could certainly become better than Bleve or Volpe, who are currently my top 2. I'm hoping that he will eventually be better than them. Because it's not that I'm not happy with them, but I just saw this guy and I thought, well, let's get him in because he may well be better. And then I got Eros Pellegrini, who I've only got him really because of this. And that's something we can exploit next year. And the fact that he can play both sides as well Might even think about whether we can do something clever and make sure that he takes throw-ins from both sides or something like that. Because you've got to think that's going to be worth a few goals every season, at least. So that's where we are at the moment. We're obviously slow progress here in terms of finding the kind of players we need, because we clearly do need players. I am constantly checking back here to see if I've got any new scout reports that I think I might have overlooked. Obviously, people like this is clearly without out of reach anyway. Although I don't think this guy is worth as much as my scouts think he is. But at the moment, that's all I've got. I desperately want to get myself a really top striker. That's my main sort of number one target this year. Someone who's going to get me 20, 25 goals in the season, because I think that's what we need now. We're at the point where the rest of the team's pretty good, but we need someone who's going to knock in goals regularly. So that's what I'm going to be spending the next couple of months looking for. Hopefully I'll be back shortly with a report of someone who could do that for us. Back in a second. So just a quick little update for you on a few milestones. I always, at the end of each season, I update the number of goals and so on that people have scored. Filippo Gioldi, if he stays, his next game will be his 100th game for us in all competitions. So that's an exciting little milestone for him to hit. And he is the leader. And looking at it, Vittorini is the only player who might come close to him next season if Gioldi doesn't play much. Currently, though, Sassi and Nepi in that order, Sassi with 19 and Nepi with 16, are still our top scorers despite not being here this year. They are closely followed by, Gioldi is level with Nepi, and then we've got Nesta, Estrella, and Pellegrini coming hot on their heels. So assuming that they all not Nesta obviously, but Estrella and Pellegrini and Gioldi, assuming they all stay on, then we would expect them to be the top three come the end of next season probably. Castelli also one behind them as well. So those three strikers who are currently with us, I would say odds on to be the top three scorers next year, assuming that they all stay. That is of course the assumption that we need to make at this stage. But that's certainly something to look out for as we go through. Because I will be tracking that, because I know the game's not great at doing it. It does it for the league, but frankly, it's not just the league that matters; it's other things as well. So I do track that separately, just so that I can make sure I keep an eye on people hitting significant milestones. And Gioldi having his 100th game on the first day of next season, assuming he stays, will be one of those. And I will continue to let you know when people hit interesting milestones like that. We've now got 8 different players who have scored 100 goals each. Do let me know down in the comments who you think they are. Be interesting to see how many people can work out every single one of those 8. There are some that are very obvious. There are others that are a lot less so. And if you've been listening very carefully to the videos, you should be able to work out all 8 relatively easily, I think. And we have now signed Eros Pellegrini. He's actually better than I thought he was going to be. And obviously he's a short-term solution. But a combination of the long throws and pretty decent technicals, he should be half a decent shooter as well, I would have thought. So should be able to make some of those younger players just develop that little bit quicker. So that's an interesting signing, and one that could end up being quite an important player for us in many different ways, if only because of those long throws that will clearly become part of our armoury next season. We're also setting quite a few records this season as well. We've got a new record high attendance, and that's quite a big jump as well. At 174, it's quite significant, and only a 3.3 thousand in total. So that's quite a nice jump. We've been renewing various staff members' contracts, and we've also managed to get a little bit more depth into the squad. There are some of these players who I think will actually improve the team. We talked about a couple of them, of course, but there are others who will just be really good players. So this guy, Thomas Shiro, is the latest. And it looks to me like he could be a very good midfielder for me. Midfield was a bit of an issue for me last season. So it's something that I needed to improve on. And I think Shiro might be at least part of the answer. He's done pretty well, not brilliantly, but pretty well for Fidelis Andria for his loan spell from Crotone. And he's done. He's played a couple of games in Serie B, so he has some experience of it. It's obviously not enough, but some experience. You've obviously got all these Loney's going back now, so we will be hopefully in a better shape now for this season in terms of money, because we won't be paying some of those wages that were a bit higher, and hopefully we can get rid. I mean, the one I really want to get rid of is Mirko Adamo, because he's not really good enough, and we are paying him more than anyone else. So he's a big one I want to try and get rid of, and we will see whether that can happen. Back shortly, hopefully with some good news. Right, this has put a spanner in the works to some extent. I've got an offer I couldn't really refuse for Rodrigo Gut, £200,000. It was just too much to turn down, really. He's been very good this season. I'm kind of sad to lose him, but 200 grand, we'll be able to replace him for a lot less than that. That would probably replace him for free. 60,000 wages, I'll probably be able to get someone in for less than that as well. So financially, I just didn't really have much choice. I'm going to have to let him go. It does mean that we do need to really, really quite urgently look for a defender as well as a striker now. There are quite a few places that I need improvements, but defender and striker are the two big ones now. We need quite urgently to try and find some of them. So I will continue to do that, and obviously I will be back shortly. But I'm going to be saying goodbye to probably our best defender of the save so far in Rodrigo Gut. He came in, did all right the first season, much better in the second, and it's going to be difficult to replace him, but we will do it. Right, so another player has come in. We've got a new fullback in Christian DiMarco, who is a very, very decent player, and at 22 he should improve. I like the look of these physicals. He's going to come straight into the team. The only question is whether we play him on the left wing or we play him at left back, and at the moment I'm not sure which I'm going to go for. I think for now I'm going to put him on the left wing. The fact that he can play at left back as well means we have a bit of flexibility, and I will be trying to get myself another left back anyway, because Pesce is not the greatest of backups, as you can see. So we'll be looking for more players, but for the moment he is certainly going to be my left back, and I'm perfectly happy with that. As you can see, we desperately need a centre back. Having sold Rodrigo Gut, now don't get me wrong, it was great to be able to send him for that much money, but it does mean we urgently need a really good centre back, preferably even an upgrade on him. Ideally, you don't have either Stanger or Colucci as first choices. Stanger is fine for the bench, but not really fine for the first choice 11. So we do need a couple of defenders, really. But I will be back hopefully shortly to show you that that's exactly what I've found. So, a couple of players who use... no, it's just the one, I think, because you were here. You've seen DiMarco, I think, earlier on in the video. It was a long time ago for me now. But Pasquale Daniele Fazio is the newest signing. He is 35 years old, so it's not going to be a long-term signing. But actually, for 35, his attributes are pretty good. Even his pace is not too bad for a 35-year-old. He won't last. He'll be gone at the end of the season for absolute 100% certainty. But for this season, I think he's actually quite a good signing. It's short-term, but it will do for now. And at least in the short term, it's a good solution in terms of the replacement for Gut. I'm interested, actually, to see... So Gut's better technically. You could argue that for a defender that doesn't matter so much. Better defensively, but that's could be an improvement. I think could well be an improvement, and we've certainly got a lot of money for that. Selling Gut's was financially a very, very good thing to do. I do wonder if there are one or two other players we could try and do the same with. I keep getting close to selling Adamo, but he just rejected another contract, so we're going to have to give them some of his wages. There's no doubt about that. I wonder if we can do it a little bit less. 22,000. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. We are very close now to the Bisceglia game. It might be a new opponent for me. Let me check that. Yeah, it's their first time we've played them. I assume they've been promoted rather than relegated, but I'll check. They have indeed. We're 9-1 now. So there's certainly improvement there. You think we started with similar to Ajar, kind of somewhere around. I think it might even be about 600 to 1. And now we're down at 9-1. So there is a good chance this year that we could be really challenging. Obviously, the goal is very much to get promoted automatically this year. And Bisceglie will be the first stop on the road to that success. So fingers crossed we will get there. It's now tomorrow, so I'm going to stay with you. If you do have any questions about people you want to see at this stage, we're obviously a couple of years, 3 years into the save now. So if you sort of a team you'd like to see, a player you'd like to see, then do let me know. Right, Eros Pellegrini, who we've just signed, and he has a 1-year contract extension. Okay, we signed him for his long throws, so hopefully we will get a few goals from that. He is playing currently at fullback. I think he should probably be fullback rather than wing back. In fact, I think it looks like he's probably going to be better on the right hand side, which is interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, Vittorini is definitely the best other fullback we've got. I wonder whether maybe we look at trying to sign a really good left back. Okay, well, for now, we're going to leave that with it as it is, but a left back now becomes, oh, there we are, there's one straight away. It's quite good, but not that good. I'm going to start off, though, with this team against Micheli. I don't know how to pronounce it. Ladies and gents, you're going to have to teach me some Italian, because it's frustrating. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Rolla is suspended, having been sent off towards the end of last season. So, Atilat will start on the right. And let's go with Cataldo, who's... Yeah, okay, so we'll do it like that, I think. Obviously far from ideal in the first game of the season. Rolla is only out, I think, for one game. So we will have Rolla back, but not for this one. Obviously, with Nesta leaving, Rolla, there's more importance on Rolla now. He's going to be a crucial player for us. And a debut as well for another homegrown youngster in Cataldo. He may only be the second one to have played for us, to be honest. I can't remember. And we're underway in the 4th season of this save. Feels like it's never ending, this Serie C. It's because of these silly playoffs that are very, very complicated. Got to win the league this year. Can't leave that to chance. I want to just... Should have won it last year, to be honest. We threw it away in the second half of the season. We were running away with it for a while. And Farkas, former Zaffarana player, I believe. Definitely rings a bell. Ferrante, good run, and Volpe makes the save. Bianchini is in goal for them, I've noticed as well. So they've got a couple of old players for us. So they're the only two. Farkas, Bianchini. I think that's it. Don't recognise any of the others. So I think it's just those two. But those two are definitely ex-players. And we've got through to half-time with a fairly dull first half, to be honest. Just 0.5 XG in 6 shots. So they're 0.12 and 2. So we are ahead, but not really doing much. We need to be creating a little bit more. I know we're missing a few players, but this is not ideal, really. And Di Francesco, and to be honest, in the second half that's been coming. The first 6 minutes has been all them. Absolutely all them. They've completely dominated possession in the whole game. And whilst we had the best of the opportunities in the first half, it's come back to bite us in the second, and Furman makes it 2. This is not ideal. And here we come forward in what I think is the first highlight we've had in terms of an attack for us. Shiro to Gioldi, Celli. Passing it along nicely, but we're just not really getting anywhere. We get a free kick there, but this is going to go into the wall. Oh no, it's not, it's Gioldi. Of course it's Gioldi. He's going to score, isn't he? It's what Gioldi does well. It probably is too late, but who knows, I suppose. Haven't really got anyone on the bench who's going to change this game for me anytime soon. Let's bring Shiro off for Paolini though. Probably going to be that, I think, but you never know. Let's see if we can be a bit more direct. 5 minutes to try and get an equaliser and start this season off with a point. Strella gets a corner out of it. Gioldi crosses in and Bianchini is there. And last 30 seconds, can we create one last chance? No, we can't. And that will be that. A defeat on the first day of the season. And it's lucky that the transfer window is still open because I think we've got a bit of work to do. It's certainly not the depth in this team that I need. And with a couple of injuries, we didn't have a lot of chance really in that game. I don't think. It just felt from the very start that we were up against it and it was going to be difficult. We do have 2 players back in the next game, Christian Di Marco and Francesco Rolla. So that clearly will help. But it is also pretty clear to me that we need a bit more depth, perhaps a bit more quality as well. And that is going to have to happen fairly soon because we'll lose a couple more games and it could be too late already. So there's work to be done here for sure. And whilst Gioldi was fantastic in that game, no one else was really. And there is work to be done here. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully with news of a few more transfers and maybe a few wins. So I will see you then. Bye for now.